sorry about that. Welcome back to Suzuka Circuit, and we are going to have a look at how our race and our night is going to unfold ahead of us with our race details.
Yes, indeed, and it's a 45-minute race with an open setup. That means the drivers can adjust their setups as they will. They will have a drive-through at 11 incidents, disqualification at 20, bonus points for the pole position, the fastest lap, and 3 incidents or less, round 9 out of 10 of the Formula 2000 Elite Series. So, well, it's gonna be an amazing race, isn't it, Ryan?
It certainly is. These cars are going to look spectacular around this racetrack, using all the downforce that they can generate to tear through these corners at some pretty astounding speeds. And qualifying, it'll be about as fast as they go all night long. Currently, it is Greg Seitz, your championship leader, who is fastest by 0.2 of a second over Joshua Chin. You got to go another 0.4 back to find our third place driver, David Serrault. Well, once again, Seitz and Chin head and shoulders above the field.
That they indeed are. They have been the duo who have dominated this series so far. But behind them, it actually looks quite tight. Serrault in third place. He's still about 0.3 clear. But then you look at the two McDonald's, Declan Eady, Andreas Ike, and even Nicholas Delp and Barn Daly and so on. You look at those guys and they're right in the mix. So from fourth place on, the battle looks like it's gonna be really, really tight, and those are the guys I'm gonna be keeping my eye on, really, especially the two McDonald's versus Declan Eady, and what those guys can do, what can Delp do, and what can anybody else do. We still have, however, about 8 minutes left in the qualifying, so let's talk a little bit about Suzuka, Ryan. Let's talk about a little bit about this track. What's your favorite place here? You talk about 130R. Is it your favorite corner?
I think the commitment through 130R is a lot of fun, depending on the car you're in. Obviously, if we had a modern day F1 car in our racing, we'd be taking that corner flat out. There's a few cars you can take it flat out, but trying to wrestle a car that it doesn't particularly want to corner that well at high speeds, I think of a traditional Aussie car, a supercar, trying to get through there is a lot of fun. It takes a lot of commitment. These things, I want to go on board with someone and see, are they going through 130R flat? I would say probably they are, because these cars can be a little bit underpowered, and they do generate a lot of downforce, so you'd expect so. Mark Ponick, let's see as he approaches the corner. Easy flat.
Yeah, easy flat. So it's not a lifting corner with these cars, but with something like a V8 supercar, which you said, and traditional or something, a car which has a V8 engine, for example, or a GT3 car, or a GTE car, for example. Those things are a little bit closer in terms of the flat out things, in terms of, can you take the corner flat out, and do you have to lift, and if so, how much do you have to lift? And I always liken 130R in a sense to Blanchimont at Spa, which both are very similar type of corners. 130R is a little bit shorter, but I always think that if you can take 130R flat out, you can take Blanchimont flat out. And in a lot of senses, this is similar to Spa in its high-speed corners. But when somebody asks me that question about Suzuka and my favorite corner, I always say the Degner complex, which is a little bit cheaty because it's 2 corners, but especially Degner 2, because you come through Degner 1, your car is unbalanced, you gotta keep the car right on the limit, and then you brake, you turn in, and 90-degree corner, yeah, but when you're going under a bridge, you got the high curbs, and all those places, it's such a fantastic thing as a driver to navigate through.
Austin Espedy is having a bit of trouble navigating this circuit. He's currently 21st, and you just saw him finishing up a spin. Here comes Seitz through the Degner complex, through 1 and then through 2, 90-degree right-handed corners, using up some of the curve on the exit, and then powered down flat out through this keep to the right, and then hard on the brakes into the hairpin, which is quite literally called hairpin, and then into 200R, the less famous brother of 130R.
Yeah, they're named after the radius of the corner, which
Yeah.
is it's fantastically Japanese. I think it's fantastically precise in a sense that you call the hairpin, but I like how they write it because they don't write it together like hairpin. No, it's hair gap space pin, and both are capitalized. Yeah, it's hairpin. It's fantastic.
On board with sights. Tip it to the left. Don't lift. Up and over the curb. If you hit that curb on the inside at the wrong angle, it can unsettle your car and lead to a monstrous accident. So you've got to be a little bit careful. And also, when we get into the race, if you're behind someone, you might find that the aero wash and the dirty air from that car in front means if you try to take it flat, you'll find yourself understeering wide. So that's another element drivers will have to be careful of once we get into our 45-minute race. There was no improvement on that lap from Greg's sights there. His championship protagonist, main rival, Joshua Chin. He's only a couple points ahead of third place in the standings, but the pace he's shown, you would suggest he's the only one that could possibly overcome Sights, who honestly is your championship favourite by a country mile. He would need to make a pretty big error today or next week to lose out. But as we know, he doesn't like the ovals. He doesn't perform well on them, and our season finale is at an oval. So it really won't be over until that checkered flag comes out at Lucas Oil. Today for Chin, it's all about maximising. He has got to beat Sights. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's under pressure, but at the same time, he's not really under pressure. He's half a tenth behind Sights at the moment, and that looked to be his penultimate qualifying effort. Let's see if he comes back out on track. But it can also be relieving in a sense that when you know that, okay, only chance I have is to win and to have something bad happen to my main opponent, the championship antagonist, if you will, then, well, it's easy. All you have to do is drive fast. You don't need to worry your head about championship implications or such things. Whereas with Sights, he can come a little bit under pressure where, he knows he has to maximize this, and the last round is at an oval and he's not great at those, and, what if he makes a mistake? What if something happens at the start? And he's gonna worry his little head sick at that rate. So, as a racing driver, you kind of need to clear your head and focus on the task ahead before a race. But that's easier said than done. Much easier.
Oh, it certainly is. 23 drivers we've got lining up for this. So all 23 of them have set tyres in qualifying, which, frankly, doesn't happen very often, I must say. You don't always get everyone setting a time. Mitchell Ian Green, 7th position at the moment. If he can find a 10th of a second, he will jump the two cars immediately in front of him and go to 5th. Let's see how it looks out of the final corner to the line. What does it be? What will it be for Ian Green? It's a lap that won't improve at all. It was 0.2 slower than his previous best. It would have put him 3 spots lower if he hadn't got that lap down already. David Sorot, 0.2 away from David McDonald, and he's off the throttle there. That is not a fast lap from him. Watch out behind, because Definity is racing up onto his rear wing. He's back in 11th at the moment. Championship protagonist early on has faded a little bit over the last couple of rounds and will stay outside the top 10 with that effort.
Yeah, his road course rounds haven't been that great at all. I'm looking at Josh Chin meanwhile. He's coming to what will be his final lap, absolutely, and he's behind Andreas Ike. Ike is currently sitting in 10th place. He was excellent on the ovals, absolutely masterful there, improving a little bit, 154.2, and meanwhile behind him, Josh Chin starts his final lap, and he absolutely needs a clear lap here. He doesn't need the dirty air, especially through these first couple of corners.
Yeah, I think he's just far enough back from Ike that the dirty air won't affect him too much, and he should get a decent tow down the back straight if he can stay in that optimal range, and Ike is fast enough that it could happen. Greg Sights, meanwhile, he's going to get to the line to begin one more lap. He tucks it very tight. A fast lap for him, but not quite fast enough to improve. It still would have put him on pole, and it was 200ths quicker than what Chin's done. So one more attempt for Sights. There is Chin through the Degners. Hits the apex beautifully, gets on the power nice and early. To the right, keep it to the right, palm the brakes, into the hairpin. A little bit wide, but a late apex. That might save him. He was able to power down quickly enough. It'll give him a run, and he should gain the time back up through 200R. And then into some very important corners. Spoon curve.
Yeah, fast in, then brake here, and fast out as well, and a treacherous downhill exit, and he heads to the back straight. Quick little point about the hairpin. It's very, very easy to do what Chin just did, you know, miss your braking spot a little bit, lock your brakes. Much more difficult than it looks.
Well, he's definitely not caught, Ike. In fact, I wonder if Ike's gotten away from it all. I don't know how this lap's going to stack up for Chin. We're going to know in a moment, aren't we, as he crosses the line. Through the Casio triangle. Maybe a little tiny error and he aborts the lap. It won't be an improvement for Joshua Chin. He will start second at best. And I dare say he won't be getting jumped for second either. Daniel Cranefoos in 12th position. He's going to come across the line. Looking to improve at a 153.948. Can he do it? Yes, he can. 53.769. Goes up to 10th position. And Mark Ponick currently in 17th. Needs to find a 10th of a second to improve 4 positions. And he'll do it. Goes to 14th.
Wow. Greg Sides on his final one as well. 9.86. Posts exactly the same time as Josh Chin's fastest, just to drive the point home a little bit. So that's 3 laps he could have taken the pole position with, potentially, and that's the one he chose to use on his final lap. Liam Gwynn next up. Let's see what he can do. He's in 15th, and once again, if he finds a 10th of a second, he gets up 2 positions. Needs to go under 54s here. Can he do it? Liam Gwynn onto the final corner. Nice.
Way.
And sliding way. Hey.
That's done.
I think you get some kudos for that.
Yeah. We got 2 classes here. Indy Pro 2000 Elite, and much like Formula 1, Indy Pro 2000 Elite 1.5. David McDonald on back. They're 4 tenths away from Sights and Chin, and that is a tale we have told many a time before in this series, certainly over the last few rounds. That's qualifying done. Let's take a look at our starting grid then, here at Suzuka for 45 minutes of racing around this legendary track. Sights on the pole, Chin alongside, David McDonald and Declan Eady line up on row 2. Mitchell Ian Green and David Soror share the 3rd row of the grid. Then comes Mark McDonald and Daniel Zegers. Nicholas Delp and Daniel Cranefoos start from 9th and 10th.
Andreas Ike 11th, Nathan Lewis 12th, then it's Jean-Francois Mattei and Mark Ponick 13th, 14th, Liam Gwynn 15th, Byron Daly 16th, Michael Overbay 17th, Andrew Wood 18th, Alex Dion 19th, Armando Edwards 20th, if you may. Last 3 drivers, Austin Espedy, Lyndon Swavey and Aaron Ruffs, rounding out your 23 driver field. No Formula 1.75 today, no Williams on track, so Ryan, Formula 1 and Formula 1.5, if you will.
Formula, yeah. I was going to say Formula 2, then I realized that, well, that does exist, actually. So we can't call it that. We'll line up just before the 130R corner to get ourselves underway for a very quick rolling formation lap. What are the weather conditions looking like for these drivers? Pretty cool. A lot of cloud cover overhead. Late in the afternoon, 25 degrees Celsius. 23 degrees Celsius air temp, 25 track temp. Wind is pretty strong, actually. That might have an effect. It's northerly at 24 kilometers an hour. That'll give them a tailwind into some corners and a headwind into others, that they should feel the difference. But I don't know which way the track's oriented, so honestly, I don't know which corners it's going to help them out in.
Well, that's incredibly helpful. I'm going to say this. Overcast weather or mostly cloudy weather, you got quite cool 23 degrees air temp Celsius. You're quite windy and you got a lot of clouds. I'm going to say Liam Gwynn has the advantage here. You know why?
Why?
He is British.
Oh, yeah.
So that's that's something he's gonna be used to. Hey, weather jokes, making fun of English, always. Thing that unites Australians and everybody else, pretty much, as they are headed in what is the main straight of the Suzuka West configuration. One of my favorite tracks, by the way, with lower powered cars. But yeah, Ryan, we're getting underway soon, and what I'll be keeping my eye on is Greg Sides versus Josh Chin coming into turn number 1.
Yeah.
Then I'm lost.
Officially, this stretch of road is called backstretch. And then we have the last curve, first corner. Sometimes you just have to give up and just call things how they are. Sights will have the inside for the first corner, which is a double right-hander, so he should be able to hold on. But if he gets away poorly, Chin might get enough of an overlap to drive around him. Let's see then what happens at the front of the field. Coming to the green flag. Sights in control, as he has been so many times before. Pace car's off, and away we go. And David McDonald has got a fantastic start behind his teammate. Joshua Chin immediately back to third, and our 5th place man might get him as well. Mitchell in green gets to his inside. Attack of the teammates for Joshua Chin, who finds some great pace on the outside. Now he's looking at getting back into second potentially, and he will. Good recovery from Chin, still side by side behind him. Indy and Mark McDonald are running wheel to wheel. Oh, there's a crash. Someone goes off into the tyre barrier.
Armando Edwards again.
Gravel.
Armando Edwards involved in that one, as is Daniel Cranfus. I believe the same guys who were involved in the overlap one last time around.
Yeah, my word. They went side by side from the first corner all the way to the first degner. Mark McDonald and Indy. Good job, you two. They did not touch once. They kept it clean, and eventually the winner was David McDonald. Sorry, Mark McDonald, who gets himself up a couple spots at the start of this one. Not a bad launch for him. Bad launch though for Indy. He goes from 4th back to, I think, potentially 6th position.
Yeah, sorry. Go on.
No? I got nothing really to add.
No, not really. Not really. Talking over each other. Okay. Just an update. Deciding to give an update to fans of Armando Edwards. He is continuing, however, Quantifus is out as a result of the first corner incident.
So 130R for the first start. Leader goes through flat. Joshua Chin runs wide. That's dirty air, my friend. Mitchell in green also runs wide and spins around onto the curb. There's no grip there. He found that out the hard way, and he collects the fence as well. Tyres gone, back to pits. Mitchell in green out of this race.
Yeah, so Mitchell in green hits the end of the wall as well, and he got caught on top of the curb. But we should go back live, Ryan, because there's wonderful pictures right now. Indy, he's back again.
To the inside of Mark McDonald. The squeeze was on as they reach the apex, and Mark McDonald holds on around the outside. I was qualifying about that dirty air for 130R when we get to the race. As said, it could be very difficult to navigate when you're the following car, Mitchell in green, giving us a prime example, and Joshua Chin showing it as well. Luckily, managed to stay off that curb. You're going to be very careful in these very, very low cars. If you touch that curb, it will flip you around before you even know what is happening. As Indy makes a slight mistake coming up and into the degners that allows David Surratt to close in just a little bit on his rear end, but not close enough to make a move.
Yeah, so a lot of action for those guys early on here. Great battles between Mark McDonald and Indy as well. Indy going a little bit wide and doing up corner, which you saw earlier, and making a bit of a mistake, and that's really a hairy place because you gotta have to commit early out of the SS. You want to take the proper line, you're gonna have to commit, you're gonna come in from the right side and then turn in uphill, and it's blind all the way through. And especially in dirty air, it's kind of hard to judge, okay, when am I gonna go full throttle and am I gonna slide wide or not? And if you're gonna slide wide, well, that's gonna turn out to be a really treacherous experience as they weave and wave their way through the back straight. So Greg Sides, he's been getting a little bit further away from these guys, but all the battles, as per usual, they've been at the mid-pack, so Formula 1.5, once again, being the, the salt of the race so far.
3/4 of a second between our top two, 2.5 seconds back to third place, David McDonald. Fastest lap of the race with Joshua Chin there on lap 2. So he laps quicker than our leader, Sights. biggest movers early on. Mark McDonald +3. +3 for Andreas Ike as well. +5 for Andrew Wood further back. +6 actually for Byron Daly is our biggest mover from 16th to 10th.
Yeah, and Liam Quinn and Andrew Wood as well coming a little bit closer to each other in the first part of the track. Wood was on the inside of Quinn, who was squeezed out of the track and then got back again through the SS section, coming to Dunlop now, and a bit of a traffic jam behind them actually, because you got Wood coming to the inside of Dunlop. This is gonna be brave, and Quinn's gonna let him through. Overbay as well, gonna look to the inside of Degner. Wow, that's a brave
By
move.
lifting off, he cost himself some momentum at a crucial time, and Overbay thought he could be able to capitalize. Mark Ponick grabbed the grass out of the first Degner, which slowed him down. Slowed down Espedy as well. In fact, I think it was Espedy that grabbed the grass, not Ponick, and that allowed Goyon to get by him. This is a, 6-car train?
Yeah,
from
maybe.
Andrew Wood in 12th, down to Lyndon Swaby in 18th. That was a good move. Up at Spoon Curve. Michael Overbay gets by Liam Quinn, who might find himself getting slingshot on the receiving end of a slingshot move from Mark Ponick there, and he is going to lose out 2, in fact, because going by him now is Alex Goyon as well. Side by side through 130R. Liam Quinn's car twitches and he runs wide, loses a 3rd spot. It's time to Espedy. And Liam Quinn has gone from 12th to 16th on this lap.
And he's spinning as well, and they're fighting for P4. Meanwhile, no need to go back to Liam, but he had damage earlier on from the main straight. A little bit of contact out of your screen happened there 1 lap ago, and that's why he was going so slow. He had a bit of damage in his car, and that slowed him right down from around 10th place all the way to having to make a premature pit stop.
This is that battle for P3, P4. Mark McDonald with Declanini right behind him again. They're trying to run down David McDonald just up the road there, who sits 3rd into Degner 1 and Degner 2. They're hard places to pass. You don't really want to go for the move there because it can cost you both a lot more time than you stand to gain. As he gets to the outside for the hairpin, can't drive all the way around there. He gets to run off and through 200R. He's going to have that slipstream as well. Now, where does he go? Right behind him. He ducks out to the left for Spoon Curve. Not able to get the overlap by the time they reach the braking zone. And Mark McDonald holds on. Looks like Edie's got some decent pace early on here, but just struggling to find some clean air to utilize it. Stuck behind that 216 of Mark McDonald. Down the back straight.
Yeah, he had a good chance there coming into Spoon Corner, but I think he ducked out a little bit too late. He made that move a little bit too harsh, and because these cars don't have too much power, he lost momentum, but he has momentum here.
Mark McDonald defends the inside for Casio Triangle, but that's no worries for Declanini. Around the outside he goes. His exit's a little bit compromised here. Who gets the slipstream benefit from David McDonald? It'll be Mark that gets it. On the outside for turn 1. Let's see. Battle of the late breakers. Into 1. Round the outside, Mark McDonald. Today, it seems like the outside is the place to be.
It is indeed, and that's a great move from Mark McDonald, reminiscent of what Kimi Räikkönen pulled off on Giancarlo Fisichella in 2005 at that very same corner. Of course, lower speeds, but still great battles between these guys, and great respect as well. I haven't really seen them come together or even try to pinch each other or doing anything
well
silly.
Done.
They leave the room for each other, but they're like, they leave the room for each other, but they're also racing hard, and I really, really like it. However, the 3rd place is going to run away from them at this rate.
Yeah, you've just put the curse on them there.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they're going to crash now, unfortunately. Hopefully they don't. David Soror is lurking now and getting closer to these guys. He was about 3/10 quicker on the last lap than Declanini. As they battle, they hold each other up, as you mentioned, and letting 3rd place get away, and they're coming under threat from the guys behind, and Soror and Zegers as well, getting a little bit close. In fact, Soror is almost as close to Edie as he is to Mark McDonald now.
Yeah, so what's gonna happen here is if you have a battle like this, of course, they slow each other down. The guys behind them are gonna catch them up as well. And we said before the race, didn't we, Ryan, that the 4th place is gonna be a tight battle, and it sure is turning out to be that way. Even if David McDonald in front of them is kinda still closer and kinda still involved. But look how quickly Mark was able to catch up to the back of David once he got himself into some clear air and out of the attacks of the Canadian.
Indy was almost on his gearbox again when they got around to the exit of the Casio Triangle. Just quietly, while we're watching this, the gap at the front is being seesawing a little bit, but over the course of the opening stages, Chin is faster, and he's running sights down. He's now got it down to 0.3 of a second. Smallest margin's been since we started this race. So that battle is well and truly alive. Later on, that was a mistake for me. It looked like almost grabbed the grass, just hung on. And thankfully for him, the quarter came up rather quickly.
Yeah, he actually lost it on the previous corner as well, went a little bit wide, and that's the risk you take at the SS, through the SS, because you have to hold the line so close that once you lose one apex, then you're gonna lose the rest of them as well.
It's very much a rhythm section. The snake for the S's from turn 2 up until Dunlop. You get the first one wrong, you're going to be offline all the way until you reach Dunlop, maybe even the Degner complex. As Andrew Wood back here battling away with Jean-Francois Mattei for 11th position on the racetrack. There were side-by-sides who picked them up. Wood, as you have a look into Spoon Curve, yes he does, but he's not late enough on the brakes because Mattei, very strong in the braking zone there, is able to clear him once more down the back straight. He should be safe as well because he's opened up about 5 or so car lengths, which is just enough to overcome the power of the toe. Thankfully, no DRS in these cars either to give Wood another bit of an advantage. No artificial overtakes in this particular class. He shows the nose, but he's not close enough there. Just filling the mirrors of that car ahead.
Yeah, so earlier on he was looking to the inside at the hairpin, couldn't quite make it through, but he's certainly being aggressive here.
McDonald and Edie. McDonald's went off the racetrack. Edie got to his inside for turn 1. Mark McDonald being caught on the outside that time, got it slightly wrong, and just ran a little bit wide and lost the spot as well to David Soror. Here's a replay of it.
Yeah, so you're going to see them coming towards turn number 1, and you're going to see Edie coming to the inside here, I do believe, into 1. Gonna try it on the inside. A little bit late of a move, and McDonald's gonna run a little bit wide, and as a result of that, he loses a couple of spots as well. But he does a good job of not spinning his car or anything, and he's still right behind Dick Leedy and David Suzuka.
No big drama. The lesser of two evils, running off the track as opposed to turning in and potentially having contact with the other car. Needless to say which one of those is more likely to result in a early retirement, of which we've got a couple. Nathan Lewis is in pit lane. Cranefoos is on the racetrack, but he's 3 laps down. Michelin Green, he has officially retired from this one. Lewis is hanging on in there. Well, we got, I say a lull. It's not really a lull, but I think it's the quietest we'll get for a little while. We'll take a look at the replay all the way back on lap 1 of this race. In the mid-pack, we saw that crash through the snake, didn't we? It was Daniel Cranefoos that ended up in the tyre barrier, rear end first.
Yeah, with Armando Edwards into 1, so we're gonna watch it from here, and let's see what happened. First typical lap number 1, gonna be shuffling a little bit and coming a bit close here, and you're gonna see it happen through turn number 2 and 3, so coming through the SS section proper. And what's usually gonna happen is a little bit of accordion effect, and as a result of that, just running into the back of someone with cold tires. Let's see if that was the case here as well. Into the final one of the SS, and yeah, just a clumsy bit of contact. Armando Edwards hitting the back of Daniel Cranefoos, and No, actually not Armando Edwards. Edwards has spun out, but Grenf was out completely. Wow.
Yeah, Edwards spun in sympathy. Here's that top 2 gap. These guys have been trading fastest laps over the last couple of trips around, ever since the start of the race. Only on the last 2 laps have they not recorded a purple lap between them. It seems to be Sights goes quicker, then Chin goes quicker on the next lap, then Sights goes quicker again. So the gap's been staying at around here, half a second. Got down to 3/10 for a moment. Has been out as far as about a second. But Chin now is definitely in range where, down this backstretch, he's getting a benefit. Thanks to that car in front, pushing a hole in the air. And it's allowing Joshua Chin to close up a little bit easier in the final sector of the racetrack. Maybe even save a little bit of fuel as well, which could be critical when we get to the pit stop window.
Yeah, and he's very close here, coming to the main straight. It doesn't look like he's lifting too much, but to be honest, Suzuka, it's not an easy place to pass someone in, especially once you get right up to the front. You don't have to benefit, and once again, Chin goes fastest. You don't have to, you don't have the benefit of having a 3 or 4 car battle, which is gonna mix things up even more. You're gonna have to duel this guy. Chin is gonna have to duel Sights, and he's gonna have to look for the overtake here. Whoa! That was a brave try, Josh.
He showed the nose. The opportunity was never really there, and they got very tight as they turned in. That fastest lap, by the way, from Chin, 53.054, is only 0.07 of a second slower than what he did in qualifying.
But they're going very fast right now, and I wonder if that little move to the inside of the SS wasn't quite as much an overtaking attempt as it was a signal to Greg Sights, and also maybe, scouting for a bit of information, scouting for, okay, if I
David McDonald, he's gone for a spin on the second Degner, gets it going again, but he's lost a lot of time, goes back to 10th place, and he's going to end up just in front of Andrew Wood. Here's how it happened. He's all by himself at this point. Remember, he was running in 3rd. And he'd done a good job to get away a little bit from those guys behind. Mark McDonald, Declan Eady, onto the curb, out of the first Degner, across the grass on the inside. Did a very good job to keep it off the fence.
Yeah, indeed. That's something that happens so often in that corner as well, as we should actually move back and watch Mark McDonald and David Cerullo because they're very close. Actually, I'll let you do this. Ryan, they're very, very close right now for 5th place.
Oh, they're super close, aren't they? Cerullo's getting some straight from Indy as well, which is helping him along. Look at how he closes in on Indy, right at the last little bit of their engine performance and top-end speed into the Casio Triangle. Wasn't close enough to make the move. I don't know who's more likely to overtake first here. Mark McDonald, Cerullo, or even Zegers back there in 6th. Make that 5th. Indy moves it across late to defend the inside. Doesn't want to allow Cerullo to get to that preferred line. He almost turned in to the left-hand side of Edie's machine, turned it a fraction too early, had to really open up the steering quickly to avoid contact. That'll cost him the spot to Mark McDonald, and loses out to him, very similar to how McDonald lost out to Cerullo a couple of laps ago at that same corner.
Yeah, they did a very good job of avoiding each other there, and great heads-up driving by David as well, because he was turning really tight to the inside, and on the line he took, he was always gonna hit Declan Eady. So he opened up the steering at last second and did that without going too wide, just lost the spot to Mark McDonald, but that was a great realization of, if I turn in right now, I'm gonna hit that guy, I don't wanna do it.
Jean-Francois Mattei still in the action, and right behind Mark Ponik, up the road they'll see Andrew Wood, who had a hair-raising moment coming through Dunlop. That car was well and truly sideways at that point in time, which has drawn him ever closer to the clutches of the chasing trio, which is Ponik, Mattei, and Michael Overbay, just off the back of Mattei there. At the front of your shot now.
Yeah, so great battles outside the top 10 as well. Andrew Wood for 11th. Ponik has passed Mattei right now.
Oh, Greg Sights! Oh my goodness me! I just clicked to him, and as I did, his car flicked sideways and he had to pull off an incredible save to hold on to the car. He loses the lead, but my word, it could have been a lot worse than that.
Yeah, I think he's coming to the Casio Triangle, and that's a surprisingly difficult spot to try and pull off a good exit from. So he's gonna clip the curb here, not here, but the next one here, and go sideways and watch it. Wow, almost pulled off the David Coulthard as well. He almost went to the end of that pit wall, so that's a great job from Greg's side to save it. Unfortunately for him, he is behind Josh Chin, who we're riding on board with right now, and just take a look at this, Ryan. Wow.
That's the pressure from Josh Chin. Been all over him for the last few laps. Oh, sorry, since the start of the race. And eventually starts cracked. That gives Chin the lead. Besides, gotta thank his lucky stars there that he did not end up in the fence or turned completely around. I reckon actually if he'd gone all the way around, he still would have ended up in second place, such as the gap they've got over the rest of the field. 11 seconds back to Mark McDonald now in third after David McDonald went for a spin at the Degner complex. Mark is still under almost insurmountable pressure from Definiti, David Soror, Daniel Zegers, and Byron Daly is driving up onto the back of these guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, that third place is about as popular as the guy who ate a shrimp sandwich before a 12-hour flight. It's been swapping hands all over this race, and Mark McDonald now in P3, Declan Eady, David Soror, Daniel Zegers as well. And Zegers seems to be there, like, in and about. He isn't really making any moves, he's just hanging on to the back of them. But the one guy I'm watching out for is Byron Daly in 7th, because he's faster than anyone who's in that pack, save for Mark McDonald. So Byron Daly could be carrying a couple of laps.
Into turn 1. No move there from Definiti, who got very close at the end of the straight. Shouldn't be too far away from our pit stops either. 23 minutes left to go on this race, getting very close to halfway, which is generally where we set the middle of the pit stop window at. Wonder if Greg Seitz might come in a little bit earlier, maybe try and undercut Chin and get him back, who, by the way, has driven away from Seitz now after being handed that clean air.
Yeah, and speaking of pit stops, man, I miss DJ. I miss DJ Clark, our pit reporter, who's not here today, sadly. So does it mean, Ryan, that we actually have to calculate all these strategies ourselves?
Yeah. And if there's one thing you should know about me, math is not my strong suit at school.
No, I could have never imagined. Yeah, but still that third place battle keeps going, and I'm looking at their lap times. 54.1 for Mark McDonald, 54.5 for Declan Eady, Cerullo 54.2 and Zegers 54.0. Of course, in the scheme of this battle, it doesn't matter because they're so close. They're gonna be losing like half a second just by driving a couple of corners behind one another, but Daly is once again the only one stands for the top 2 who was in the 53s last time, but he's catching them fast. So, you know, it might soon be a 5-car battle.
Thought Indy might have the opportunity there, but not quite. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 cars all in touching distance here. As into pit lane comes one of them. That is David Soror.
And David McDonald as well. So it was the turn of the David to pit this lap. Thankfully, neither of them was Coulthard. I had to go there.
Up on the jacks, he'll get some extra fuel, maybe a couple of tyres. There's your leaders, by the way. Chin in sight. The gap is just over 3/4 of a second in favour of Chin now, who was 2 cents quicker on the last lap. So Seitz definitely struggling a bit more than he was in that clean air, which his pace might have been elevated a bit thanks to Chin being in the aero wash of him.
Oh, and he's looking to the inside.
Third, yeah, at the hairpin. Definitely had a look at the hairpin, wasn't quite able to make it stick. He's getting more and more impatient, I think. Been behind Mark since the start of this race after their incredible exchange all the way from the first corner up until the Degner side by side through the snake without touching once. And how this race might have panned out for Declanidi if he'd completed that move.
Yeah, indeed. It's always the question of if, and to quote the great Murray Walker, if is F1 backwards, and in this case just Formula Racing. You can always go on about what if I done this or what if I done that, but the fact is Declanidi is gonna make do with the cards he has, and that's what he's doing right now, trying to look to the outside in Casio Triangle, but nothing to do there yet.
I'd pit if I was Declanidi. Well,
yeah,
they both did.
Wow.
Indy was a whisker away from cannoning into the back of Mark McDonald's car then, as he hit the brake pedal for pit lane. He did pit, but I think for him, third of Mark McDonald, which means any clean air he might have got, but he didn't. And that was close.
Yeah, that was too close. Man. And the best thing is that Mark McDonald will be probably blissfully unaware of that one. Yeah.
How about that?
Well,
and David Sorrell, who pitted earlier than them both, will not get them here. So he's actually potentially even lost out a little bit of time.
Yeah, I wonder though about the tires, because we've seen that before. It takes a couple of seconds longer to change the tires than not change the tires. So I wonder if David Sorrell has opted to take those brand new sets of rubbers, and neither of McDonald or Edie has, so could be a little bit of that as well playing into it. We'll have a look at that soon. But yeah, another interesting development is that while we were watching that battle, is that Greg Seitz also pitted last time by, and Josh Chin hasn't. So not only has Chin managed to take the lead, but he's also managed to save a little bit more fuel.
But if Seitz took tyres, does he have an undercut effect coming his way? He came out behind Matej. He was behind him through the snake, but Matej let him go before the Degner complex. Into pit lane comes Chin, immediately responds then to Seitz. How good is this outlap from Greg Seitz? Is it enough to overcome Joshua Chin? What about the stationary time in pit lane? Seitz heading down the backstretch now. About to tip into 130R, hits the apex nicely. Chin still not in his pit box. There's our championship leader.
Yeah, and I think Greg Seitz has taken tires, 7.6 second stop for him, as is for Mark McDonald. So 7.1 for Edie and 6.5 for Cyril.
Well behind.
Yeah.
So, pit stop times there, Aussie, has Chin taking tyres or not?
7.3, it's going to be very close. It's on the same range as Greg Seitz, so there's not that big of a difference. And to be honest, that difference could be just down to multiple things, like being able to save a little bit more fuel, being able to save just a couple of liters.
See that in total, nothing between them in pit lane. So the outlap for Seitz was not good, and I think the traffic he came out behind is partly to blame, or almost completely to blame for that. He was not getting anything close to decent air pushing down on the front of that car, helping it to rip through the corners at top speed, which means he loses out. Now he's 2 seconds behind your race leader. Meanwhile, Mark McDonald has found himself ahead of Andreas Ike. Declanidi is a couple spots off the road. Oh! Hello! That's Mark. He's in the fence. He's out.
Wow. Yeah, let's see what happened here. So he's gonna come through Dunlop corner. Out of here, very fast treacherous place, blind exit, and that's one car disappearing in front of him coming into Deckner. Let's see what happens here. Turning into first one, turning into second one. He's gonna be fine through here. Second one. Is he gonna slide wide? Yep. He went Tony Gardner pro skateboarding, and I'm glad you now understand that joke, Ryan, after our last broadcast.
Yeah.
So he went skateboarding there over that high curb, and I don't have enough fingers or toes or nor do any of my friends to count the total sum of drivers who have done exactly that in a tiny Formula car. So easy to do. You just get beached on top of the curb, and that's all she wrote. You have no control. Kind of hard to steer when your front wheels are not touching the ground, eh?
It's curious as well. Edwards potentially running out of fuel as he came to pit lane. It's curious as well that Declan Eady had managed to put 2 cars between himself and Mark Zone before we saw him get into the fence. So it had been a good couple of laps since the pit stop fades for Eady, who now sits pretty comfortably in 3rd after running 5th for most of this race and 4th for the last little bit after David McDonald found himself spinning. The Degner complex has not been kind to McDonald's today.
No, not at all. Maybe it has BK in it.
Maybe prefers.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah.
I love how that.
Maybe it prefers people called Jack. Then I realised that it's called Burger King in most of the world, and only called Hungry Jacks in Australia. So.
Is it?
Yep.
Oh, that's
when they came to Australia, someone in the country already had the rights to Burger King name, and they weren't giving it up. So they went, okay, we'll call ourselves Hungry Jacks then. There's your random fact for the day.
Okay, well then, that's actually very interesting, and almost as interesting as this battle action screen with Edie and Daly and Saru. But yeah, that's so very interesting. I was wondering why you were a little bit slow with that BK one, but there you go. So weird names for brands in other countries. Did you know that 7-Eleven is absolutely huge in Japan?
It makes a lot of sense, to be honest.
Yep.
I can see that. Kit Kats as well are massive in Japan. Apparently, the name is something close to meaning something lucky, something along those lines. All I know is I've got about 100 more flavors than I've got, which is just chocolate and mint.
Do you have mint Kit Kats?
Yes, had one today. Brilliant.
I'm so jealous. I would be even more jealous if I could eat chocolate.
We've gone off topic here, Ozzy.
We have gone a little bit, but hey, I mean, we're talking about chocolate, we're talking about all the other sweet things and trash food, because this battle is so sweet. I mean, Declan Eady, Baron Daly, David Saru, they're all together, and P10 as well. I think that's Andrew Wood, one of the, Overbay and Pony involved in that battle, and Overbay is gonna come ahead without explosions. Yeah.
Pony tried to go the long way around, and he quickly realised the track goes the other way, and he no longer had the preferred line, and Overbay was able to hold on. So he'll have to try that again. Here's a replay of Pony trying and failing to get by and get himself into the top 10. Overbay was wide, that's why he had the run. Then he slid off the corner, trying to recover. Pony to the outside. Almost had it done if he'd held on through here, but he was a little bit ginger on that inside line, and Overbay was able to fend him off for now.
Yeah, he's not in a hurry though. I mean, you look at the battle between those guys, they're a couple of seconds behind Andrew Wood, and Michael Overbay just ahead of Mark Pony, going to the radio as well. They're all by the lonesome, and I think Overbay might have some issues there as well. You look at his car, he's going a little bit wiggly on the straight line, so it looks like his suspension might be a little bit knackered. Just look at him, just, here once again, and he's gonna give this space, I think, yeah.
I've been keeping an eye on our race leaders, by the way.
Oh.
Now Hassan the gap is up to 2.5 seconds after the pit stops.
Yep.
Look now, it's down to a second.
Oh.
Science, there you go. There's a lap comparison of what he has gained. You see that plus 26, minus 28. That was the pit stop window. And then he gained a tenth and a bit, and then he gained 2 tenths. And you can see how he's reeled him in. Plus 26 when he pitted, minus 28 afterwards. So Chin's outlap, after coming out 2.5 seconds ahead, lost a couple of seconds, or a second, I reckon, by the end of the lap.
Yeah, so you look at Greg's sights, and I wonder since that save, okay, there would be a joke about Greg Sides becoming Greg Sainz and just forward faster, but really, he's been able to consistently catch up to Josh Chin, and I'm actually surprised he's taking risks as we're watching the battle behind him. I'm actually surprised Greg is taking the risks because, as we talked about, he's in the championship lead, and yeah, he needs all the points, but really, he can afford a second place here. He can afford the minimum loss. Instead, he goes for the win and goes to at least fight for the win, and I think that's a mark of a true champion if he should become one. But yeah, Indy, Daly, and Saru, hard, whichever it is.
Daly has had a brilliant race. Highlighted him early on, coming from 16th to 10th. Now he's running 4th. Biggest mover in the field, plus 12, looking to make it plus 13 and get himself on to the last step on the podium. 18 seconds between our top 2 and 3rd. Are we sure that Chin and Sykes aren't running Mercedes engines and these guys are all running in Honda engines or something like that?
Are we gonna go GP2 engine again? Yeah, I'm so glad, by the way, that it's called Formula 1, Formula 2, and Formula 3 now. Because that makes so much sense. Why hasn't it always been that way? But yeah, it used to be like the second
IndyCar, they've got IndyCar, they've got the Road to Indy, which is the USF 2000, which is the lowest series, and then this, which is the Indy Pro 2000, and then Indy Lights, and then IndyCar. If they just rename that first class, then we're good.
Yeah, or they could go, hang on, Indy Heavy, Indy, Indy Cruiser, Indy Middle, and Indy Light.
I don't know about that one.
Boxing weight classes.
I don't think it'll catch on.
Nah. Most Australian thing ever. Yeah, nah. Anyway, the thing that I'm curious about is a battle for 3, 4, and 5 is Baron Daly is now right in the middle of that one. So he's gotten past David's rule earlier on. We talked about his excellent pace before the pit stop cycle, and now he's right behind Declan Leedy. And Baron Daly, once again, he's been absolutely dreadful in the qualifying. He was 16th in qualifying.
His time, we want to say, he did a 54.0. Declan Eady did a 53.4. In theory, he should be 6 tenths slower a lap, which over the course of 20 laps so far, he should be about 6 seconds, 12 seconds behind him. Instead, he's almost alongside him. Fantastic race pace.
Yeah, that's incredible by Baron Daly, and I wonder if he's heard about this thing that, you know, you can take fuel off for qualifying, you can make a qualifying setup. It's allowed, you can do that. So Baron Daly, and the most curious thing about him is that he's faster in the race than in the qualifying. His fastest race lap is a 54.5. And when I look at Declan Eady, his fastest race lap is a 53.6. So, you know, Declan Eady is 1/10 slower. And he's faster than David Saru as well. Saru 53.9. fastest race lap. So Baron Daly, he has the race pace, and if he had the qualifying pace, I think he could be the one guy who would be right there in the battle for P number 3 more often than he is right now.
Seven minutes left for either Daly or even Soror to make the move and get onto the podium, or Declan Eady to hold on to that spot. Mark Koenig, that's not how to take the deck in the complex. He's been into the grass and he's lost out to Matei, who it looks like had already passed him by this point. That's almost what David McDonald did, except he hit the curb on the inside. Meanwhile, Declan Eady, through 130R, right all the way off the outside of the track, came back on through the grass and held on to third.
Yeah, so he went very wide turn. He's gonna have to be conscious about the incident limit, because you definitely get an off track from there. But you don't get a slowdown, so technically you can get away with that one. and Barn Daly is going to look to the inside now. Just holds off. That's incredible job by Declan Needy, really holding off to that one, because Barn was already to the inside, but Declan decided that, you know what, I'm gonna leave you minimum room, and if you're gonna go there, you can go there, but you're gonna be risking an incident. So far, Barn Daly has to wait. David Surut there still watching behind them, holding back for now, and just probably having probably glad to have front row seats to this incredible battle. Front row seats that we are going to share now that we are running on board with David Surut, who's had a pretty consistent race for himself, it must be said. It feels like Ryan, David Surut has been in this battle all race long, pretty much.
Yep. And it also feels like he hasn't really made much progress. Sorry to say. He started 6th, he's 5th at the moment, and he's been here all race, hasn't he? After getting the 1 spot early, thanks to Michelin Green's spin on lap 1.
Yeah, so he's been sitting there and holding back for now. Meanwhile, on lead, Josh Chin has actually gone fastest he has all race long, 53.0, and has dropped Greg Seitz a little bit. Gap last time by 1.3, but I think Greg Seitz is going to respond this time around. Seitz does a 53.064 and Josh Chin 53.1, and I do believe that's not the fastest lap for Greg Seitz, but that's once again they're, you know, switching around lap
Byron
time, trying to
Daly
chase the fastest lap.
At the Casio Triangle, he gets it done. Finally, he got the overlap, he got to the inside, and he got by him. Can he stay ahead for the first quarter? Surut looking at Edie, Edie looking at Daly. Right up on his gearbox. He stays off him, and Daly up to 3rd.
Lads netcode, wow. Replay of that one. So Ryan, you probably saw it live, judging by your reaction, but yeah, Barn Daly is gonna come in here and 130R gets a great run, but he's still so far back. However, he's gonna look to the inside because it wasn't covered off, and a great move, it must be said. That is how you pull it off into the Casio Triangle. And you know, Declan Needy,
no,
Edie!
No, Declan Needy's been hit.
Yeah.
Surut into the back of him. And a fantastic race for Edie. Comes crashing down.
And that's a really surprising hit as well. I wonder if you're gonna get a replay of that one soon enough. Yeah, here we go. Great job by our director, Joe Peak. So he's gonna be making a little bit of a mistake there, Declan Needy, through Dunlop corner. That's gonna allow David Surut to get closer. But watch this. Surut changed the line right before Declan won and just tapped him on the rear tire. And that's it.
Surut? So look at this, yeah, through Dunlop. You see here that mistake we were talking about, runs wide. This gives so much extra speed to Surut. He looks for the inside. And then, yeah, tries to get back to the racing line, but he was, at that point, probably should have committed to the move. He might have got it done. Fortunately, got caught in 2 minds, it seems, and Edie finds himself running in 8th. Surut up into 4th.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to wanting to go swimming, thinking, the water looks warm. It's gonna be nice. I want to go for a swim. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a swim. And then at the last moment, he decided, you know what? I don't fancy swimming. It's gonna get me all wet. The problem is, he already jumped off the platform. You can't turn back at that point. So in the lead, meanwhile, guys who haven't jumped off the platform all race long, except maybe Greg Seitz in that last corner once, making a bit of a mistake. He's been slowly trying to catch up to Josh Chin. However, Chin has really turned on the afterburners. Afterburners here last couple of laps, hasn't he, Ryan? Because 152.9, so he went under 53 on a race lap. And that's also faster than his qualifying lap. And it's going to be really, really difficult for Greg Seitz to catch him up in these last 1.5 minutes.
Well, I said at the start of the show that Chin needed to finish ahead of Seitz no matter what happened. At this stage, he is in position to do that. But Seitz is still going to finish right behind him, and he took pole. He gets a bonus point for pole. And the gap between first and second is not that big in terms of points. So, heading in, it was a 40-point margin. Heading out, it's still going to be, I think, in excess of 35.
Yeah, it
Greg
is. So
Seitz, surely, with the fastest lap of the race, gets down to 3/4 of a second now. Greg Seitz, surely, heading into Lucas Oil Raceway, as uncomfortable as you may feel about the championship finale being at an oval, surely he will be feeling confident with the gap he will have over Joshua Chin. Also a bonus point for fastest lap, so that was crucial too from Sykes to do that purple there with white flag in the air.
yeah, so winner gets 35 points in this series, so that's what Josh Chin is gonna have, and 32 points for Greg Seitz for the second place. So and with the pole and the fastest lap, he's gonna just get 1 point more, potentially 0, if Greg Seitz has stayed under 3 incidents.
Well, for Joshua Chin, who's done everything right, then it still won't be enough.
Yeah, he's
It
just gonna
just
have to take it
shows
on. Yeah, he's just
the
gonna have to
importance
take it on
of
the Chin.
consistency. I think he missed a race or two, didn't he? Over the early stages of the season. That's why he's been so far back, despite the pace he has. And really, he's been the only one to ever take it to Greg Seitz.
Yeah, he missed round number 2, did not start there. Round number 3 did not finish there, and since then he's been right there with Greg Seitz. But you know, better luck next time, I guess.
As always, next season. 3:1:30 for the final time. Joshua Chin. A fantastic duel. All race with Greg Seitz again. But at the end of today, at Suzuka Circuit, it's Joshua Chin from second place. He will finish in first. Chin gets it done in Suzuka. He wins the penultimate round of the championship.
He does, with Greg Seitz in second place, and in third place it's gonna be Barn Daly. After a race-long battle, he wasn't even involved in that one early on, and then after pit stop he just came to life and said, you know what, I want the podium from here. So from 16th to 3rd, Byron Daly ahead of David Theroux, ahead of David McDonald, and ahead of Andreas Ike as well, who's gonna lead this beautiful battle. Oh! Andreas Ike let them through on the last corner, and they're gonna come potentially side by side, Delp and Edie. No, Delps is gonna be just ahead of Edie coming across the finish line. Wow!
I wonder if he had a slowdown potentially or something along those lines. Jean-Francois Mattei, remember I highlighted him having passed Cody before he went off the track. Well, actually, he's in pit lane 2 laps down, so I don't think he did, unfortunately. We will go to a break here on the Global Sim Racing channel, but stay with us, because on the other side of this, we will come back with your full results and interviews from Suzuka. Welcome back to Suzuka Circuit, to our coverage of the Precision Racing League Indy Pro 2000 Elite Series, round 9 wrapping up with your race results on screen. Joshua Chin winning by 1.2 seconds over Greg Sykes. Byron Daly leading the Indy Pro 2000 1.5 series in third, 26 seconds adrift of our top two. David Soror home in fourth, ahead of David McDonald in fifth. Nicholas Delp and Declan Eady sixth, and Edie will be very disappointed with that in seventh after the late contact dropped him down the order. Andreas Syke in eighth, on Drew Wood in ninth, and Michael Overbay home in 10th.
And it's going to be Alex Guillon in 11th place, ahead of Daniel Ziegers, Mark Ponik 13th, Linda Swaby 14th, Aaron Ruffs 15th, final car on the lead laps as well. Jean-Francois Mattei 3 laps down, 16th, and 10-year list of retirements. Armando Edwards, Mark McDonald, Daniel Cranfus, Liam Quinn, Austin Espedy, Mitchell Ian Green, and Nathan Lewis all classified as out of this event, Ryan. But next up, I believe we have guys who are not out of this event. However, they are already out of their race car and ready to talk to Ryan Jones about their race.
I'd say at this point they're out of the event because they finished the event, haven't they? Joshua Chin was the first to finish it. Another great drive, another great battle between you and Greg Sykes. And it took a mistake to get him, but you did it, and he didn't look back.
Yeah, I was actually waiting for the pit stops to play out. I was going to try and beat Greg on that, but he made the mistake and let me get through and just kind of run away. I knew after the first 5-10 laps that the pace was there and he was feeling the pressure for sure. I tried making a little bit of a move out of turn one and he chopped, so I knew I was in his head at that point.
You guys, we've talked about it a lot today, are just head and shoulders above the field. 26 seconds, the gap to third place behind you two. What's it like then as a driver to know that almost no matter what you do in that battle with Greg Sykes, you're still going to finish first or second unless you'd put it in the fence?
It's nice. I kind of wish the competition level was more back where it was at the beginning of the season. Nathan's been having some bad races, and Mitchell too, but it's a nice feeling. I think the championship's basically over. I think Greg might have locked it up going the next week, but overall, it's nice to be able to just kind of focus on one guy and not worry about everyone else behind.
Yeah, we did some quick calculations, and we think it might be about 39 points, which, if it is, will mean he's wrapped it up. It got to be frustrating, hasn't it? Obviously, you missed a round, which is why, but to be as quick as Sykes and to beat him on numerous occasions, but to fall just shy of the championship picture, could be a little bit frustrating.
A little bit. I think the wreck at Indy was probably the real kicker for that, because that was 20 or 30 points I lost out on, and I didn't get the qualifying done that I needed to. I knew Phoenix wasn't going to happen. I didn't really think I was going to have a shot for the title at all. I was hoping to finish fifth or somewhere around there. So to be in second going in the final race is pretty nice.
So, with your expectations almost met, how much of a helpful leather approach do you take for Lucas Oil Raceway?
I think I have to go in and just try and win the race. I know we're going to have a fast car again. The ovals have been really our strong suit this season, and kind of the spot where we can make up points. And Greg and that whole Rust team kind of struggle at them. So if we're going to make up ground either in the individual standings or the team standings, this is our real good shot to do it to close out the season.
Well, who do you want to thank for helping you get it done?
Everyone at Team Talent. Big thanks to Jason Brophy for hopping on as my spotter and crew chief for the race. He helped me out a little bit, still getting the rig set up and getting everything where I need it. So he was a big help. And everyone had good pace and practice. Unfortunately, the race didn't go the way that we wanted for everyone. But shout out to Austin, Liam, Lyndon, Wood, Andreas, and Nick. Nick had a good run, and I think that'll help solidify him being third in the points.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Joshua, and hopefully we talk to you again after the final race of the season.
Thank you, guys.
With Josh Chin coming home with the race win, and now with Greg Sykes is Aussie.
Yes, indeed, and Greg sides. Well, it's gonna have to be a relief. We talked earlier with how much difficulty you have on the ovals that you have pretty much wrapped up this championship here at Suzuka, and you can go to Lucas Oil with not much pressure, despite not quite being able to bring home a victory here today.
Yeah, I just did the math. It looks like I wrapped up the championship by a minimum of a point now, so I basically don't have to do the last race, which is how I like it.
Yeah, and congratulations. And how was it this year as an overall championship? I mean, this race was a tight battle with Josh, and do you wish the championship would have been a tighter battle with Josh as well?
I think it was a pretty good battle with him. The races we were together. I mean, there were a few that I think he had the edge, and a few that I had the edge. We both had a little bit of bad luck through the season, so it kind of worked out. I mean, I think the points difference is a bit bigger than obviously the difference between us. So yeah, I think I think he very easily could have gone his way. I've had seasons where I was on the other end of the bad luck and was very competitive, but still ended up behind in the points. So that's kind of the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, and Greg, well, a little bit crunch for time, but we're gonna let you celebrate early. Who gets it done for you? Who do you have to thank for this wonderful championship?
You guys, as usual, great job broadcasting. My competitors, Josh, Declan, and my teammates all did a great job. We worked really hard together as a team, and I think we also probably wrapped up the team championship today. So really happy and proud of my team. And just like to thank PRL and the sponsors for this league. It's been a fun run this year, and like I said, I'm kind of relieved I don't have to have any pressure going in the last non-droppable over race.
Well, once more, congratulations, Greg Sides, for the championship, and see you next year.
Yeah, thanks, Ozzy.
And next up, Ryan Jones. He's going to talk to our final podium finishing driver, and oh boy, did he have a race.
Byron Daly, 16th to 3rd. What a drive that was. What happened in qualifying to end up 16th with the baits you had?
Honestly, I felt like I was like the slowest car in the field for most of the practice and the qualifying session. Just couldn't find any pace, and honestly, the whole season's been a bit of a struggle for me, so I wasn't really surprised. And yeah, so I went into the race thinking, all right, well, we're 16th, probably finish 13th to wherever I was, and wow, I ended up 3rd. I'm actually really surprised. I didn't think the car was going to be that good, and I saw the truly train in front of me after a while, like, wow, I'm actually catching that.
Talk us through your race then, going from 16th to 3rd and navigating your way through the field and the pit stop phase as well.
Yeah, at first I was just really timid trying to race, guys. Like I didn't think I had any pace, so I was being really patient, just hanging out. And after a while, guys were making mistakes, and I started making some moves, and they were sticking. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're pretty quick. There's some attrition in this finish for sure. There were guys that had some bad luck in the battle of the race, but that's part of it. And yeah, through catching the train in front of me, picked off a few of those guys. Some of those guys boxed, and I was able to do the overcut. And next thing you know, I'm behind Indy for what I thought was going to be 4th place, which turned into 3rd. And yeah, I mean, I'm just really surprised, honestly.
We'll let you go here, but who do you want to thank for helping you get up on the podium for this race?
Oh, just, Precision for putting the league on. I felt like I kind of embarrassed myself on Monday there, and I just wanted to come and have a clean race. You guys are broadcasting Global Sim Racing channel. It'll be fun to go back and watch this one. Again, just, thanks to everybody putting this on.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us, Byron. Good job today.
Thank you.
And with that brings us to the end of our show today. Thank you, as always, to Simsa for their support of the series and Precision Racing League for helping to put this one on, and the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Also, thanks to Juna Lon, who provides all of our wonderful music to the screen and how to get a hold of more of her great work. And the team alongside me today, Joe behind the scenes, and Ozzy next to me in the comments box. Thank you to you too as well. If you want to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com or on social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. Make sure to go and hit subscribe to us on YouTube so you don't miss a moment. other upcoming races are also listed on the screen for you now, so check them out, mark them down. But from all of us here in the booth, thanks for joining us, and until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.